Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Digital Arts Show, which is presented by Center Stage Theater. It's all part of Center Stage Theater's Digital Arts Festival that takes place right here in Santa Barbara, California, and actually all over the world. We've had artists from all over, actually, from Europe, here in the States, and on the East Coast, here in Santa Barbara. It's been a wonderful experiment, if you will, and a wonderful little adventure that we're doing with Center Stage Theater. So the Digital Arts Festival show streams nightly, every night at 7 p.m. And you can find out more on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab. And on the blog, it'll take you to the Digital Arts Festival. You can click on the little menu and click on Digital Arts Festival and see all the information about the artists that we have featured so far. This has been a lot of fun for me. I've enjoyed getting to know some new people in other aspects of performing arts. The purpose of the Digital Arts Festival is to create an outlet for artists of all kinds to share their work. Because of the quarantine, many artists are unable to share their work publicly. And so this festival was created digitally to bring people together as sort of a workaround, if you will. We created the Digital Arts Festival to help performers and artists connect with their audiences. And every show will either feature somebody from dance or theater, music, film, visual arts, poetry, storytelling, and much more. And again, you can learn more on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab. Today's guest is Hannah Ruth Brothers, and she is a dancer, and we are going to learn more about what she does in her style of dance. Welcome to the show, Hannah Ruth. It's so wonderful to meet you.
Hi, Jim. It's great to meet you too, and great to be here. Thanks for doing what you're doing with the festival.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and it's as I said, it's been a lot of fun. It's great to get to know everybody and what they're doing. So, Hannah Ruth, tell us about your path. How did you become interested in dance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have been dancing since I was pretty young. I started with authentic movement or creative movement when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I started with Marilee Krause, who actually still lives in Santa Barbara, and I still interact with her every once in a while. And then from there, I moved on to ballet and took ballet from elementary school all the way through high school, was dancing 6 days a week, and I was at the Santa Barbara Festival Ballet. So that's kind of where I started my more formal dance training. And then I got to college and I said, like, oh, maybe I'll do something different. Maybe I won't do dance. But then I just ended up taking all the dance classes. So, and there was one semester when I didn't take very many dance classes and I was really miserable. So I was like, okay, this is my path. This is what I'm doing. So yeah, so since then I've continued creating work and performing, mostly in my own work here in Santa Barbara, also up in the Bay Area. I've had actually a dance film presented in Florida, and I've presented work in New England as well. So.
Wow. Well, that's quite the resume, if you will. That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about what is your creative process? When and how are you developing a new dance?
Yeah, also a great question. So, so I tend to work a lot with improvisation. I found a lot of inspiration for my work from festivals that I'll go to where I'm dancing and improvising with other movers, other improvisers. Um, there was one year in college where I went to a festival. Um, it was a contact improvisation festival, which is contact improv. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a form of improvisation in which you are dancing in physical contact with other people, and you're always touching each other and you're moving around. So I was in this festival and I was moving around and I found myself away from other people for a moment, and I just like raised my hands in the air and I held my breath and I stayed there for a long time, as long as I could hold my breath. And then this other dancer came and started dancing with me. And that moment where I was kind of like suspended in this kind of state of not knowing what was going to happen next, and kind of a suspension of breath and suspension of the moment, I kind of developed that into a piece that I ended up becoming a big part of my senior thesis at the college that I went to. So that's an example of like ways that I find inspiration at festivals that I go to, ideas, interesting ideas that come up when talking to other dancers. And then just, I mean, sometimes music will inspire me. So yeah.
Nice. Now, where are you located now?
Yeah, I'm in Santa Barbara.
Oh, you
Uh,
are. Okay.
hmm Yep. Yeah. And yeah, I was born here, grew up here, and went away to Vermont for college, but now I'm back. So.
Great. Now, I understand that you created a video of a dance for the festival. This is a dance you did back in February at Center Stage, and then recreated it in your living room for the festival. Tell us about the origin or the inspiration for this dance.
Yeah, so this dance is called Weight Cycle, and the title comes from a woman named Nancy Stark Smith, and I took her workshop in January of this year in Western Massachusetts in the woods. They have this beautiful retreat center called Earth Dance. And that's where a lot of this contact improvisation happens. It's kind of like a hub for contact improvisation in New England. And so I went there and I took this workshop with Nancy Stark Smith. And she works with contact improvisation, but also with just improvisation in general. And I got a lot of ideas from that workshop. And that was kind of like the jumping off point for the piece. And I also brought in some ideas from Chris Aiken and Angie Hauser, who are some of my favorite improvisation teachers who are also based in New England. And so the title Weight Cycle is this idea that Nancy talks about where when you're walking, your weight is always cycling in and out of the floor. So if you
Okay.
notice, like if you go for a walk, your head kind of goes up and down. And in any kind of movement, there's always going to be a cycle of the weight down and coming back up. So that's kind of the title of the piece. And then we also brought in some ideas like hero and attendant, which is this comes from Chris Aiken and Angie Hauser. And the idea is that one of us is the hero and the other one is the attendant. And whatever the attendant is doing, that's exactly what the hero needs. So I'm doing this
Right.
with my brother. And we start out, he's the hero, I'm the attendant, he's on the cello, and I am dancing. And whatever I do is exactly what he needs. So that's kind of the beginning of the piece.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. I would love to be able to see that. And now that's going to be included with your interview here on the Digital Arts Festival.
Yeah, we just filmed the piece in our living room, actually, my parents' living room, where we grew up, my brother and I. We just filmed the piece on Wednesday, just a few days ago. And so we'll have that video up on the Center Stage Theater blog.
So what was that like? That experience of redoing it in your living room, because you performed it at Center Stage and then you recreated it in your living room. What was that process like?
Yeah, that was a very interesting process. I kind of like a few days before, I set up a camera and was kind of figuring out, okay, what's the angle we're gonna go for, and then my brother actually had this really cool wide lens. So you'll see in the video the angle is kind of like wide at the edges, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so yeah, but it's very different not having lights. You know, like if you're performing on
Like the theater lighting, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, you're performing on stage and everyone can see everything if you don't have if you're in your living room. So,
Right.
yeah, but it was interesting to kind of like try to notice the space that we were in and bring that into the movement. So like at the beginning, I'm like moving and I see like, oh, the chandelier, and like how can I incorporate the shape of the chandelier into my movement, into my improvisation. So
Right.
yeah.
Now, how have you been affected by the stay-at-home order?
Yeah. Um, it's been tricky not being able to go to the studio. I have a nice space that I can work in um, pretty much whenever I want, which is great. Um, but I've been kind of exploring. I mean, it's funny because like we've all become improvisers in this moment. Like we're all becoming filmmakers because
Yes.
everything we want to share, it has to be in a digital format if we want
Right.
to share it widely. So yeah, so I've been taking some videos of myself in my house, like figuring out like what is like what happens if my house becomes the stage, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah. And well, and speaking of that, and speaking of, trying to work through all this, tell us about the improvised piece that you're working on with your brother. And I understand you're performing that in your parents' living room?
yeah, so it's in my parents' living room. And yeah, he's playing the cello, I'm moving. And yeah, so um
How did that come about? Or what was the inspiration for creating that piece?
yeah, so he I came up with the, as I said, the inspiration from this workshop that I did. And
Right.
and so yeah, I was interested in working with live music. And I just thought, oh, my brother, he plays the cello. So yeah, so it really came from this workshop that I went to in January and interesting ideas I encountered there. And yeah, so
That's amazing. And um, well, and performing it in your parents' living room, was there some nostalgia with doing that there?
yeah, you could say that a little bit. I mean, the space has changed quite a bit over the years, as everyone's does. I mean, my parents have been living here for 23 years. And, over that course of time, things will change. But yeah, I mean, I've been here quite a bit over the years. And so, um, yeah, it's an interesting thing to be with your brother who you've known your whole life, but then still realize like there's a lot we don't know about each other. And
Right.
yeah,
Well, and yeah, growing up is one thing, but then when you're an adult, it's a whole nother adventure with siblings.
yeah, for
You know.
sure.
Yeah. So how has the shutdown, how has that affected your creative process? Um, or has it? And then what do you think may happen um after the quarantine? Do you think you might create something to reflect your version of the quarantine and the shutdown in some kind of dance form, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about it a lot. I think right now, like many of us, I'm kind of living like, okay, day to day, what am I doing this week? What am I doing in an hour? But I do think that what happens for me is I bring a lot of my personal experience into my work, and I have no doubt that this will affect what I do next for sure. And it already is, working from
Yeah.
my house and not really, uh, not being able to go to the studio, taking dance classes in my kitchen.
Right. Are you
So,
doing virtual dance classes through Zoom or some other video conferencing?
yeah, I've been taking Susan Alexander's dance class on Friday mornings. And I've been, yeah, doing that pretty much in my kitchen, moving the dining
All the
table.
furniture out of the way.
Yeah.
Have you any mishaps of knocking something over while you're trying to do dance moves or something?
Yeah, I did realize the chandelier hangs down a little lower than I realized. So
Oh, okay.
my arm up, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
hi.
I've talked to some other dancers and instructors as well who, dealing with the challenge of trying to teach online and, having to deal with counting. Is that been a issue because of the, the delay with buffering or what have you? Has that been an issue trying to do something with counting?
Yeah, it has been a little bit. You'll watch. I'll usually what I do is I go to gallery view on Zoom when we're doing the phrase together, when we're dancing together, and you'll notice that like we're not all in sync, even though like the music is coming. I feel like I'm dancing to the music, but then I'm looking at everyone else, and we're like kind of in different places, and it's
You're doing
interesting.
the move slightly 1 second ahead or behind one
Right, right.
another.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, before I forget, I want to give out your information. Uh, Hannah Ruth Brothers can be found on Instagram, and she can. I love your Instagram handle, by the way. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Her Instagram is at Hannah Ruthie Dance Queen Machine. I love that. That's
Yep.
awesome. And if you were just grabbing your pen, go ahead and grab your pen and write down her Instagram handle. It's at Hannah Ruthie Dance Queen Machine. And Hannah is spelled Hannah, Ruthie, Ruthie, and then Dance Queen Machine. I love that. I love your Instagram handle. That's great. There's no mistaking who it is.
Yeah, props to my friend Amber Young. She came up with that. So
Oh, right on, right
yeah.
on. And again, in case you missed it again, it's Instagram at Hannah Ruthie Dance Queen Machine. That's on Instagram. Do you have other Instagram handles on other social media platforms?
Yeah, I do have a Vimeo page, and that's a video platform. And you can see my dance films there. I've created quite a few short dance films. And that is vimeo.com/Hannah Ruth Brothers.
Slash, and just your full name, Hannah Ruth Brothers.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just writing that down. And again, so the Vimeo is vimeo.com/Hannah Ruth Brothers for all of your videos that are there.
Yep, and that's Vimeo, Vimeo.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Vimeo, vimeo.com/Hannah Ruth Brothers. And you can find all of Hannah Ruth's information and her videos there as well. And Hannah Ruth, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today and taking time out of your day to talk with us and let us know what's going on. And just want to wish you continued success with everything you're doing. Before we go, actually, I was going to ask you, do you have any projects that you want to do once the quarantine ends? Anything down the road that you might be working on?
Yeah. So I don't. So right now I'm working with Olivia Sparkle, and that will be something that maybe comes out before the quarantine is over, or it could be after it ends, depending on how long our process takes. And then beyond that, I'm sure my experience in this time will influence what I do down the road. So yeah, you can look forward to that.
That's coming up hopefully down the road as well. Well, that's great. And again, it was wonderful to meet you. And again, continued success with your dance career and everything. And stay safe, stay healthy, all that good stuff during the quarantine. And hopefully we'll be able to meet in person.
Great. Thanks so much.
And thanks to everybody for watching today. And again, to learn more about the Digital Arts Festival, you can go to Center Stage's website, centerstagetheater.org. That's centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab on the homepage there. And you can learn all about today's artists as well as all the ones that we've done so far and the upcoming ones. And again, it's centerstagetheater.org. You can also make a donation if you'd like to Center Stage to help them out during this time of crisis, centerstagetheater.org, and to learn more about them. Also, again, to pass on Hannah Ruth Brothers, her information is on Instagram at Hannah Ruthie Dance Queen Machine. I just love saying Dance Queen Machine. That's great. Again, at Hannah Ruthie Dance Queen Machine on Instagram. And her videos on Vimeo, vimeo.com/Hannah Ruth Brothers. And if you'd like to learn more about me, you can find me on social platforms on Facebook and Instagram at Jim on the Air, and on Twitter it's at Jim on the Radio. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thanks again, Hannah and Ruth. It was wonderful to meet you, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.